Imagine being told chemotherapy is your only chance and having the courage to say, no, I'll find my own way. Barbara Moylan didn't just beat cancer, she rewrote the playbook on survival. But today, we're going to dig deeper, beyond the treatments, beyond the protocols, and into the territory rarely touched. Who is Barbara Moylan when she's not being a warrior? Prepare yourself, because this conversation might challenge everything you thought you knew about health, healing, and the extraordinary power of taking control. Good day, Barbara Moylan. Sorry, did I say that right? Moylan?
Yeah.
Right?
Moylan,
All right.
Yep.
Hey, it's great to have you on our Crackin Backs Podcast.
Thank you.
You're welcome. You know, little history behind you that is most fascinating is that you've been a longtime fitness professional and nutrition coach. You know, you experienced this incredible shock of being diagnosed with aggressive breast cancer, not just breast cancer, aggressive breast cancer. And the healthy lifestyle you lead caused you to really be, more jolted than the average person. And what's more fascinating is I can't wait to hear your story of why and how you decided to reject chemotherapy, which is profound, especially in this era of healthcare. And you opted for for an unconventional, holistic approach to healing, and that itself is fascinating. So I would love to dive into your deeper into your current fears and some that you had or still have, and what it's like to find a method of healing, costs behind all this, and because insurance didn't take care of unconventional medicine, and your future vision. So let's start by the one comment that sticks out the most, and that is it with all that you did all your life, it felt like a betrayal of my body. Talk about that.
Well, being in the fitness industry for 34 years, I started when I was 18. I'm 52 now, and I have, given my life to helping others be healthier, and obviously myself included. And so, never living a perfect life, but always working out, always eating clean, taking really good care of myself. And so last May, a year ago, when I got that diagnosis, I was shocked. I was shocked. I was pissed. I was confused. All the emotions you could possibly think of, because I was like, wait a minute, I'm that person that has committed to doing the right things. And so it was a punch in the face. I felt like somebody punched me in the face and just ripped out my soul and said, ha ha ha, and so it was a shocker.
Well, and then go ahead. After you started to settle, go ahead.
Yeah. And it was a shocker to everybody around me. I teach fitness, and I teach lifting, and at all of my clients, at anybody that knows me was like, wait a minute, you got breast cancer? Like, if you got breast cancer, what the hell, what is in store for the rest of us? So it was a big pill to swallow, for sure. Yeah.
What about the chemotherapy? How did you dodge that one?
So right out of the gate, it was, you have aggressive and spreadable breast cancer. It was stage 1, which I was like, oh, it's just stage 1, right? But it was triple positive and HERS2 positive. So it was estrogen dominant, progesterone dominant, and then HERS2 positive. So that's the triple positive. And the HERS2 positive changes the game. Like that's what makes it aggressive and spreadable. So immediately the fear factor was brought into the mix. Was, we've got to do aggressive chemo. We got to get after this. We've got to blast it. And, otherwise it's going to spread to the rest of your body. And I was like, well, wait a minute. how did I get breast cancer? And nobody could answer that question. And that really bothered me because I wanted to know why. And because if I got here somehow, then in my mind, then I could almost reverse engineer it, right?
Mhm.
And figure out, there was a cause. So if I go after the cause, then I could heal myself. But they were like, you have to do chemo. I had 3 tumors in my right breast, and I did want the surgery. At the time, I wanted it out. I was just like, get this shit out of me, okay? And excuse me, I opted for a double mastectomy because I was like, okay, if it's aggressive and it's spreadable, just take them both because I don't want to deal with that. So between diagnosis and surgery, I had 9 weeks, and they wanted me to do 6 rounds of chemo prior to surgery because it was 5 centimeters wide. And in order to get good margins and get a clear, get it out with clear margins, it needed to be 4 centimeters or less. So they wanted me to do 6 rounds of chemo. And first thing I did was like, look, I need everybody to pump the brakes. Like, it didn't pop up overnight. So I don't need to make a decision overnight. I really need to, bless you.
Thank you.
I really need to take a step back, and I want to know what all my options are, not just this is your only option. And that's what they were telling me. If you don't do this, your chances of survival are not good. So I was like, I don't believe that. Like, let me go find out what else is out there. So, I didn't take a lot of time to do that, but the way that I grew up, I come from a holistic background, and just nothing about chemo and what I know about the human body made sense to me. I was like, I'm a healthy, fit 52-year-old woman going in and blasting my system with poison and then putting me under a knife, under anesthesia. That doesn't make sense. So I told him, no, I'm not doing the chemo. And right around in that time, I have a client that is a compound pharmacist. She came to me, and we've never had a conversation outside of training before. And she said, look, I know how you are. I have some information for you. If you're just willing to read it, I have research, I have studies. Just read this packet of information. And if you want to throw it in the trash, I will not be offended. But I think there's going to be some stuff in there that will spark your interest. And it was about fenbendazole, ivermectin, high dose vitamin C, red light therapy, hyperbaric, infrared sauna, genetic testing. And I dug into it, and I was like, that makes sense to me.
I love
So,
this.
yeah.
This is great.
Yeah. So I had I had that 9 weeks, right?
Yeah.
And, I'm a gut health and nutrition coach. And so I went after my nutrition. I utilized the compound pharmacist to help me put together a targeted supplement plan, and got on the Fenben, got on the ivermectin, started taking high dose melatonin, which is another cancer killer, methylene blue. I mean, I threw the kitchen sink at it. I was getting 50-gram high dose vitamin C drips, 90 minutes in hyperbaric after. And in 9 weeks, I shrunk the space of 5 centimeters to 3.2.
Oh.
When they took it out of me, they were like, oh, it's not as big as we thought. And I'm like, mm-hmm.
God.
Yep.
How cool is
Yeah. And they were like, oh, I go, huh, imagine that. So I didn't need chemo, right? And just so you both know, I'm a little sassy.
Yeah, I love it. Love it.
But I said, oh, I didn't need chemo, did I? And you know what they said to me? Oh, we must have measured it wrong. And I go, oh, is that something you often do?
Wow. Can you imagine?
Yeah.
Mm.
Yeah. So
Mm.
then when that came out and I had shrunk it, I was like, oh yeah, it's on. It is on, bitches.
Love it.
I'm like, let's go. And so at a month after my surgeries, I had 2 surgeries, I had to go back for my treatment plan. Now, I had shrunk the mass. I contained it. It did not go into my lymph. So no lymph, uh, it didn't cross the lymph barrier. And so, I was like, I did a good job. All right. Now, I was expecting a totally different treatment plan. And they still, stage 1, no lymph, wanted me to do 12 rounds of chemo, 15 rounds of Herceptin, and 5 years of tamoxifen.
Mm.
And I was like, I walked into that meeting with 32 questions. I was ready, man. She did not know what to do with me because I was prepared. She was not prepared for me.
Great.
And, I just started blasting her with questions, not being an asshole, but, what are the long-term and short-term effects? And she downplayed it. And I'm like, I know because I did my research. And I was like, no, I'm not signing up for that. I'm not going to sign up to wreck my immune system, to devastate my liver, the cardiovascular disease, the osteoporosis, the onset of menopause, the list. I mean, the list was so long. And I was like, I want to give it a shot my way because clearly what I'm doing is working. So why not? Why not try? And if I'm wrong, I'm wrong. So
I am so impressed. I first of all, Terry, does she have a personality like Aaron Brockovich?
Oh yeah.
Yeah,
Oh, yeah.
yeah. We
Yeah.
interviewed Aaron twice, and if I close my eyes, you have the same attitude about
Oh yeah.
about
Oh yeah.
mainstream bullshit compared to
Right.
what they. And then secondly, we interviewed Dr. Lindsay Berkson that she spawned an idea because she is a functional medicine doctor that also, lived a healthy lifestyle from childhood and couldn't. She's 76, and I urge you to. We'll send you the podcast from her.
yeah.
She went and couldn't understand why she had cancers, not just breast. Like what was it, uterine, Terry? I mean, she had all
Everywhere,
sorts of cancer, and she goes, "What? How is this possible that I lived such a healthy lifestyle?" She went and requested the birth records. Now she's 76. The birth records, and found that she was a DES baby, a diethylstilbestrol baby, and they banned that drug off the market. And that gave her the answers as to why so she had to deal with stuff that before birth. Can you imagine?
Wow.
Yeah. So when you talk about, wondering why you as the epitome of health and wellness, it may not have been you.
Well, I was like, all right, I am going to go after the root cause. Okay. I got here somehow and I'm going to figure it out. So I started doing testing, and none of the testing, like I've got triple positive hormone driven breast cancer. And I asked, when are we going to test my hormones? And they said, oh, we're not, because it's not going to change your treatment plan. I go, I don't give a shit about my treatment plan. I want to know why. And they were like, nah, like they blew me off. So I was like, all right, well, I'll go get my own damn test. So the first thing I did was a methylation detox pathway test. And I think every breathing human should get this test because it is the 5 genes that are involved in your ability to metabolize and methylate toxins. And 3 out of 5 of my 5 genes I was born with are suboptimal. So right there, since I was born and the environment that we live in and the toxicity level of our current, our current state is high, right? So the toxins were building up and building up. And it wasn't until about 3 years ago that I really dug into the personal care. Like I got the app and I started scanning and I changed all my lotions. I changed all my cosmetics, my shampoo, my deodorant, my cleaning products. I did that 3 years ago. So I was already kind of heading in that direction, but unfortunately it was too late. But if I would have known about this test 10 years ago, I would have known, okay, Barb, you don't process toxins properly. You need additional support in this area. I could have been supplementing differently. I could have been not wasting my money on supplements that I wasn't even absorbing. I could have been eating differently because there's foods you want to eat and there's foods you want to avoid, supplements to take, supplements not to take. So right there, one of the reasons. Another reason, I had my blood tested for hormones for years and, oh, your hormones are fine. Oh, your hormones are fine. Well, they were doing a blood test and a blood test doesn't tell you shit. Urine metabolite test or a Dutch test. As soon as I went through life extension in Fort Lauderdale and I got a urine metabolite test and there it was. I have an estradiol that's off. That particular estradiol and the ratio was causing DNA damage. So anywhere that estrogen goes in my body, it's gonna damage my DNA. Now, I no longer have breast tissue, but if I don't handle that estrogen, it's still in my body. It's still not regulated properly. It's gonna land somewhere else and it's gonna cause DNA damage and cause cancer in my uterus or in my throat or in my, lymph nodes or in my chest or wherever. So, that was a miss from the medical department is like, I found it. Now I'm taking nutraceuticals, DIM, to up-regulate or down-regulate it because it was high. So I'm trying to down-regulate that estrogen, get it where it needs to be so I don't have to worry about that damn thing causing trouble elsewhere in my body. The current medical model doesn't give a shit about that. It's about treatment, not about prevention or the why.
Love
and then,
this. Okay.
yeah, then I did extensive DNA testing, again, out of my own pocket. And Brooke, my compound pharmacist, she became a clinician for this company and she now reads the DNA. And I found out through this DNA that, again, I was born with suboptimal mitochondria function. So my mitochondria does not work at a high level either. So guess what? Now I'm going after my mitochondria. So the superhuman protocol with PMF MAT and oxygen, exercise with oxygen training and red light therapy, methylene blue, all of that works together and proper supplementation is working together to help support and rebuild my mitochondria. So, yeah.
Jeez. So you must have spent a fortune on some. I mean, so I know that some of these tests are very expensive because I've done some of them and they're pricey. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, and to your point in the beginning of the podcast is, none of this is covered by insurance. I mean, I'm so grateful. I worked for Orange Theory for 12 years and I have been with the company that I'm with, Just Lift, now for 3 years. And Just Lift did a fundraiser for me. And and then Orange Theory did a fundraiser. So last summer, they raised almost $40,000, which was a huge,
what a great idea.
was a huge help. And that lasted me up until about December with the surgeries, missing work,
Oh my.
with, I spend $780 a month on supplements. Yeah. And my treatments are at least $2,000 a month. So, I'm looking at 2 to 3,000 extra dollars a month on top of my living expenses that insurance doesn't cover.
Right.
And it's so sad because I priced it out. I went to the American Cancer Society and I said, okay, with 12 rounds of chemo, 15 rounds of Herceptin, and 5 years of tamoxifen, what would that cost? And it came out, the estimation was $103,000 to $147,000. And then I priced out my 2-year journey because, to heal yourself from the inside out, it's not a 3-month thing. It takes time to heal yourself. So I put myself on a 2-year journey and I priced it all out. What is everything going to cost? And it came out to $86,000. So what I'm doing costs less.
Yeah.
And I'm not destroying my body and setting myself up for long-term. I was never a customer of modern medicine. I've stayed out of hospitals. I've stayed out of doctors' offices because of my choices. And I was not going to become a lifelong customer by buying into the chemo thing. And I like to say, I am living proof that there is another way.
All right, I gotta skip to something I want to dive in a little deeper. And both Spencer and I are cash pay practices, and I've always looked at insurance was for your car and your home don't cover catastrophes. They cover. They could have covered catastrophes, not the maintenance. But your insurance, you were going after a catastrophe that wasn't covered by insurance, right? So you choose a healing path that wasn't covered by insurance at all, which is, I think, a broken part of our healthcare system.
Totally.
They want to pay for chemo, and they want, which would be covered in full. You would be, covered.
Yep.
But I want to say, how has this financial strain affected you and your family? And how did that affect the psyche of you and your family? Which we know if we're not mentally strong, it's hard to handle a disease. So this more than just paying $2,000, $3,000 a month. We have a mental component as well, the stress and the strain, and more broadly, the thoughts and how patients who maybe can't afford it and are shoved into destruction to pursue alternative medicines, which you just proved work. Can you go a little deeper into what your thoughts on the emotional strain, the financial strain, and for these people that think that they have no choice because this is covered by insurance, this is not, so I'm going to choose the poison route. Can we dive a little deeper into that?
Well, and just making the decision alone is hard. Okay, and I didn't I didn't take it lightly. I really thought it through. And, at the end of the day, I said to myself, when I am on my deathbed, when I'm 100, I want to look back and I want to be proud of the decision that I made. And I want to do things on my terms, not make decisions out of fear or out of financial strain or, be told what to do. It's just not my nature in general. But, there was a lot of fear in the beginning. And I was like, what if I'm wrong? What if I'm wrong? But, I also said, well, if I'm wrong, I still got chemo as an option. Like they were selling it to me as if it were my only option. And I was like, I want it to be my last resort, not my only option. Mm-hmm. So, to answer your question, I mean, so many great things have come out of this. But the one thing that just looms over me constantly is the money, is, how am I going to pay for this? And I am so fortunate that all of the giving that I have done in my career of just pouring my heart and soul into helping others, I really feel has come back to me 100-fold, a millionfold. And I have a GoFundMe. I started a GoFundMe in January, and the goal to get to where I needed to be, it's hefty, and it's snail's crawl. But yeah, I mean, I've had to take out loans, I've had to borrow money from my family, and if that wasn't in the background, it would alleviate a lot of the stress. And stress is not good when you're trying to heal.
Yeah.
But I've really had to put things into perspective and say, look, my job is to heal this body, and I am not gonna worry. Like I can't worry about it. I have to put all my faith into my decision. And I wake up every morning and I pray. I mean, I became real religious real quick. Like, and I say, please God, get me through this day and just show me the strength that I need to get to treatment, to get my workouts in, to do all the nutrition, do all the juicing, do all the stuff, like do it, like, and pray that the money shows up in the account. And I do that every day. And so far we're there, but I still have a long road ahead of me. And I'm so grateful for the people that follow my story. I mean, I made it public. I was like, all right, if I'm going to do this, I'm going to share it because I want other people to know. I'm going to be honest. I'm going to be forthcoming. I'm not going to sugarcoat anything. And I want people to see, the struggle. And, I'm a very independent, I've never been married. I've always taken care of myself. I live alone. And, it's very hard for me to ask for help. And that's part of the lesson for me in this whole thing, in this journey is, I've had to swallow my pride and ask for help. And it's all here, man. My mindset is so strong. And that's one thing I'm really proud of is, people say to me all the time, like, I'm so sorry. And I'm like, fuck, I'm not. Like, this has been the greatest thing that ever happened to me. Like, I thought I knew health. And man, I just went to like orbit speed to another level that I never knew existed. And I am so proud and happy to be here because without all this popping off, I would have never got to experience what I'm capable of, the level of discipline, the level of self-love, the level of, digging in and, being convicted and following through. Like I never knew I had that much in me, but I know now. So,
You just mentioned a little bit ago that you questioned what happens if my approach doesn't work, right? And you started having a self-doubt, yet you prayed, you meditated, you always were positive, you're talking like you're doing. But we also know as human beings that, and it's important to acknowledge that no journey is 100% positive, right?
no.
And so I think it's important for us to hear, how did you cope with the tough days? And what did you learn about yourself in those moments? Because a lot of time on interviews and movies and shows, we always see the positive stuff, and they just kind of skip over the dark days,
Yeah.
But it's the dark days that will either make you or break you. Can you talk a little bit about the tough days and how you coped?
So the first 5 days were the darkest. That I had probably the biggest pity party for myself. And I remember looking in the mirror and I didn't even recognize myself. And I was like, and that's when I looked broken, I felt broken, and that didn't sit well with me. And I made a decision that moment, that day, that I wasn't gonna let this break me. And I'm gonna do the work. I'm gonna show up tired. I'm gonna show up scared. I'm gonna show up fearful, show up broke. I'm gonna just show up. And it's not gonna be pretty. It's not, I gotta just take it day by day. And I really just dug into, you know, daily affirmations and the meditation, and just, asking for strength. Like when I would wake up and just be like, God damn, I don't want to do this again today. Like, I'm tired. And I would just I'd put it out. It like I need still to this day. It's not a past tense. Like, I need a strength larger than myself. And I have asked for it. And, the universe, God, whatever you believe in, is because I've been vulnerable, and because I've, worn my heart on my sleeve. And, I feel that I have received what I've needed, because I've put it out there and said, I need help, and please help. Like, just get me through the next 10 minutes. Just get me out of bed and into the car. Can we do that? And just take it step by step. And that's my advice to anybody going through a hard time. Like, keeping this as present. I've stayed very present, and said, you know what? You're going to have good days, and you're going to have shitty days, but you still got to show up, because in the end, you're not going to succeed if you give up. There's no giving up, man. You gotta see this through. And that's, I've just stayed present, and I've just believed. I believe so deeply in what I'm doing, and that's really gotten me through it.
Barb, I love this, by the way. Thank you for sharing. I want to ask you about you, not just the cancer, but you. How has this journey changed you, the way you see yourself and your place in the world?
Woo. Oh gosh. Again, it's been the greatest gift. It really has. I mean, it has made me even stronger than I already was. It has allowed me to grow in a way of just, when you dig into your own biology as deeply as I have, and I basically have biohacked myself, you create a relationship with yourself that I never even knew existed. And the amount of self-love that I have cultivated and created in this journey, and, forgiveness, and just, the bullshit, the stupid shit really doesn't matter. Like, I've always been very laid back and easygoing, but like now we're at a whole nother level, because I'm like, nothing bothers me, because after going through what I've gone through, it's like, that's nothing. There's nothing I can't handle at this point in my life. Like, and, I'm grateful for that relationship that I didn't have with myself before. But, and what my dream and my mission and my passion is I want to share my story. I want to scream it from the rooftop, because I want people to know, not that there's another way to cure cancer, but that there is a way to get in front of health issues. There is a way to become a part of your own being. And this relationship that I've created with myself, I want to share it with other people and hopefully inspire them to go, you know what? I'm not going to wait for the shoe to drop. Like, why can't we get ahead of it? Why can't we find out what we were born with, what genetic, predispositioned, why not be the archaeologist of your own body and dig in and find out what you're made of and care on a level that is so much greater than society even promotes. You know what I mean? Like, and I want to help other people. And I mean, that's who I am. I'm a coach.
Right.
That is that was in my DNA. Like that should have been in my DNA. And, and look, I'm never going to tell anybody what choices to make with their own body. I didn't want anybody telling me what I needed to do. So, I now coach people with cancer. And I say, look, whatever you choose, I support your choice. And I see it. I see the fear. I hear the fear. And, it's sad because they're like, well, they're telling me this. And I'm like, I know. They told me the same thing.
Right.
And, so I say, look, whatever you choose is your choice. But no matter what, you got to find out why. Because if you don't get to the root cause of this, you're never going to stand a chance of survival. Like in my opinion, that's my opinion. Like find out why and let's fix what's broken. It didn't just kind of happen.
Right.
It's not that. So, and you need to support, you need good nutrition and not like people are, oh, I eat healthy. No, this is like another layer of nutrition that you don't even know about.
Right.
So yeah, that's, I have 4 cancer clients right now. And ironically, they're all men. I don't have any female clients, but they're all men. And they've done chemo and it's come back within a year. I've got prostate, colon, 2 colon, and a lymphoma. And they've done chemo. It's not all of them. They've done, all 4 of them have done chemo, but it's come back. And
on that topic, we've heard the phrases, getting a second chance of life, right? You've heard the phrase, I didn't really start living till I got that diagnosis. Why do you think that is? Why do you think it takes something so powerful to turn these light switches on? From your experience of being on that side, for somebody who hasn't had that diagnosis, why does it take somebody to almost die to live?
Yeah, it's crazy. It's sad because, I immediately, as soon as I could move, I had my first surgery end of July. I had my second surgery August 12th. And then October, when I was healing and could, move my arms, I did a workshop. I did a prevention workshop. And I was like, look, I mean, at a bare minimum, with everything that I've learned at that point, and I've learned so much more since then, I was like, at least I can get information out to women of how to prevent this. And it's very interesting because you would think that people would rush to get this information, but unless it smacks you in the face, people think what I thought. I thought I was invincible. I thought I was doing all the things. Oh, it'll never happen to me. And clearly that's not the case. And so, I don't know what needs to happen in our society that, prevention is a tool that is available to us. And shame on us for not digging deeper into that opportunity. You know what I mean?
Mhm.
And it's sad because it's like, people don't respond until their life is on the line. And it's funny, people say to me all the time, they're like, I watch your Instagram, I watch your videos. There's no way I could do what you do on a daily basis. And I look at them and I go, oh, hell yeah, you could. If the alternative was you would die, you would figure it out, you would find a way to make it happen. And so it's like this self-doubt, this I don't need to, this invincible, it's not going to happen to me kind of thing. And unfortunately with our food is toxic, our air is toxic, our water is toxic, our our personal care, our cleaning, everything around us is toxic. And if you think you're immune to the toxicity that is just I mean, I think that's being pretty naive personally.
Hmm.
Terry reminds
I don't know if that answered your question, but
It does, yeah. Yeah.
Terry, she reminds us of the podcast we had with the guy that talked about the lotions that are had a hormone blocking effect on one of his
Yep.
young patients, and this kid would slather himself up, and he couldn't understand at a young age why his testosterone levels were so low. So the guy, so the who was that interview with? Do you remember this story? He put him on. Yeah, he put him on. He took him off that body lotion and had him use one that was known not to have the chemicals in it. And the guy did a post test for testosterone, and it increased, and the kid was normal again. So it's amazing some of the benign things that we think we do or use have such a profound effect on our physiology.
Well, and then, it's, I mean, everything I'm doing is like voodoo or witchcraft or like this list, like, oh my God, like that's so weird. And I'm like, there's research studies as well about the things that I'm doing. You just don't see them. Yeah. They are buried because this is such a moneymaker. I mean, to come up, not even come up, the fact that there is another way to cure cancer and to affect the trillions of dollars involved in treating cancer. I mean, treating cancer with chemotherapy. I swear I said this in the first month that I was dying. I was like, look, they've had 50 years or longer to figure this shit out, and they haven't. So I'm going to give my way a shot because, if they haven't, cured cancer with the trillions of dollars of donations and fundraisers and all the money that's been dumped into cancer research, and we still don't have a cure, that just didn't sit right with me. And, some people are like, especially medical people are like, they roll their eyes at me, and it's okay. And, the doctors to this day, I just had every 3 months, I go to the medical oncologist at the cancer center, and I have them run my blood work because I want them involved. Right. I don't think I am ever going to need them, but I want them involved in the process and to validate. I mean, I feel like the fact that I still see a medical oncologist and they still test me and my blood work comes back and I say, so how are we? And she goes, you're good. I'm like, all right, I'll be back in 3 months. And I know she's waiting, for some shit to pop off. And I'm like, no, it's not going to. It's not going to happen. You are not sticking that needle, that port in this body. It's not going to happen.
Unbelievable. Yeah, you got to sit there and wonder, how are these chemotherapy and radiation centers, how they become so elaborate and big? Where's that money coming from? Well, simple. The
Yeah.
the treatments for them are so expensive that it's fueling bigger, better, more productive treatments and more invasive treatments, and because there isn't the money in doing the things
There's
you're
no money in juicing.
Yeah, yeah,
Who's going to make trillions of dollars off of juicing?
right.
You
Well,
know,
hopefully
and it's
things will change.
well, I wrote a letter to RFK Jr.
Nice.
I did.
Good.
And I've emailed it. I've sent it to Washington. I'm gonna send one every month
Good.
until I get a response for just to share my story and share my what I've done, and for healthcare reform. I put in my little 2 cents about healthcare reform and how this
Good.
the way it's been is costing us a lot, a lot of money, and what I'm doing is less expensive.
Yeah.
And it supports different businesses. I go to physical evidence here in Boca, and he's a chiropractor, Dr. David Lippman, and he has the superhuman protocol in his office. Thank God, because the only other place that had it was in Aventura at the 10X Health Center in Aventura. And I had learned about superhuman protocol 2 years ago. And so I knew like that was going to be part of my treatment plan. And I was in a Restore Hyper Wellness getting an IV drip, and he walked in. That's the other thing that's been crazy. Like, the people that have just come into my life and just shown up and been solutions, like Brooke, the compound pharmacist, Dr. David, having the treatment that I wanted and the treatment that I needed, instead of driving from Delray to Aventura, which is you know how far that is, Spencer.
Big difference.
Like it can be a haul.
Yeah.
And boom, he walks in and we start talking, and I say, yeah, I'm looking, I'm probably gonna have to drive to Aventura for superhuman protocol. And he looked at me and goes, no, you don't. I have it in my office. And I'm like, stop it. And so, Dr. David and I have become buds, man. I see him 5-6 days a week. He does an incredible job of, I watch him treat his patients as a chiropractor, and he's amazing. But yeah, it's been, it's just been such an incredible journey. And one other thing I like to add with the whole medical model is, and I say this all the time, and I'll continue to say it, like with the doctors that, look at me sideways or shake their head or roll their eyes. And I say, look, you are reading out of your book and I'm reading out of my book, and they're just two different books. Like, it should be okay. And I wish that the two books could merge into one and have a little more synergy between the two. But I don't think it's fair to discredit what I'm doing, but because as of right now, a year, I'm a year later, and I am cancer free, and I'm gonna stay that way because I'm gonna do the damn work it takes to keep it going.
Barb, you said your fight isn't over, and obviously by everything that you've shared, but there's always probably that you're always constantly learning and wanting to learn more because new things keep coming out and all. So when you say your fight isn't over, how does that make you feel? What do you think?
So because of the HERS2 positive diagnosis, the chances of reoccurrence are greater. And so that makes me nervous. It does. I'm at higher risk of it coming back. So I've got to, I can't let my foot off the gas. I can't get arrogant. I can't get comfortable. I can't be like, oh yeah, I beat this. Like, and where what I found with the clients that I am working with, and I ask them, I say, hey, between your treatment and then the second diagnosis, what were you doing? And the biggest mistake people make is they go back to the lifestyle, or they go back to doing the things they were doing before the diagnosis. And they don't get to the root cause, and they don't fix what's broken inside of them. And so I do live with that fear in the back of my head that, like, oh shit, this could come back. But I get my blood work tested. I work with a doctor at Life Extension, and in between the 3-month testing, I work with that doctor, and do additional testing, which is again out of pocket, to stay on top of it. Like, if one thing shifts out of whack, I'm ready to pounce. I'm ready to, like, I've got a plan B. I've got a, something sitting I got something in the batter's box in case I need to pull it out and throw a little more heat on this thing, because I want to be prepared in case, something goes sideways. But, I'm making sure that I'm not making that mistake. I'm making sure that I'm fixing what is broken, and I'm not getting comfortable. Like, I'm not gonna truly win by getting comfortable. You can't accomplish anything in life at a high level in your comfort zone.
It's funny, we as chiropractors always say that most of our patients take better care of their cars than they do their body.
Oh my God.
And imagine, you bring your car in for maintenance all the time, and there's always little things that need to be fixed or maintained. And yet we don't do that with our body, but you do. And that's admirable. And obviously that's what it takes, is to be hyper vigilant like you are, or hyper vigilant after, especially, having a near death experience,
Well, and now I want to, the amount of shit I sifted through. There's a lot out there. All I do is read and research and look at things from 10 different angles. And, now I want to save other people that time. Like, look, I've done the work. I can narrow it down for you. And also be the strength, like, be the support. And I've told clients, I'm like, look, if you need me to go to a doctor's appointment with you, I'll go. Like, let me be your voice if you need me, because I've been there. I know how intimidating it is. I know how, fear driven it is. And I think that's part of the sales tactic. And if you don't have a strong, a strong mind, a strong will, and a strong belief system, you're gonna follow the pathway that is made up for everybody. Like, it didn't matter my background. They were gonna put me on the same treatment plan as every other 50-something-year-old woman with that particular diagnosis. And, it was like a conveyor belt of just, okay, here we go, next stop. And, it doesn't have to be that way. It doesn't. So that's what I'm hoping that I can, if someone is out there and they're even curious, or they're like, I want to learn more, I'm available to enlighten them on my experience.
No, that's great.
That's
And
great. That's
I'll
great.
tell you, you've provided so many answers right from the get-go that I have several patients in mind, some that, have the bronca gene, that have had double mastectomies, that used to be, very fit, used to compete, things like that. And you've given so many, I just can't wait for them to hear some of this, because they said, the estrogen, they're on tamoxifen because of that. You've heard, if you haven't experienced it, you've heard all this, and they feel so painted in the corner. They can't get out. They don't know what to do.
Right. And when it came to the tamoxifen, I said, okay, well, what are the side effects of tamoxifen? And she never said you have a 28% chance of developing uterine cancer by taking tamoxifen. And on top of that, if you've ever had endometriosis, which a lot of women have, myself included, that statistic goes from 27, 28 to 56%. She didn't even ask me if I had endometriosis. And I was like, man, you're handing this shit out like candy and not even making people aware. And if you don't know to ask that question, you wouldn't know that. I mean, I have friends, my own sister, that has been taking tamoxifen, and she didn't know, they didn't know that, oh, tamoxifen could cause uterine cancer. Why on earth would I sign up for that shit?
Yeah, very good.
You know what I mean? But yeah, it's a lot.
Barb, I want to ask you a question. Something that you probably wish that somebody would ask you on this journey that you've had. What is something that you feel hasn't been talked about yet? Is there anything that you're pretty vocal, and what's on your mind is probably out your mouth, but is there anything that you got going on in your mind that you want to tell people, even though they haven't asked you?
There are a lot of layers to this. There's, it's not singular. It's very multifaceted. And, the big thing that I am going after now, because there's a lot of parts to healing, and just like you said, there's like a lot of parts to your car, right?
Right.
And they're all they're all, you can't change your oil filter without changing your oil. You know what I mean? Or vice versa,
Right,
however
right,
it works,
right.
you got to do it all. And recently, and it got pulled from Netflix, is the whole dental. So this past Monday, I went to a holistic biological dentist and had my mind blown of learning, like, just like you have the gut microbiome, but it all starts in your mouth. And
Right.
I am busting my ass to reduce inflammation in my body, right? I'm doing all the things to get inflammation down, because it all starts with inflammation. That's how all disease starts, is inflammation. So I'm doing all the things to get the inflammation down. But I go to this dentist on Monday, and he looks at me and he goes, you have a lot of inflammation in your mouth. And we don't look at oral care from a disease, like a outside of, needing a filling or needing extraction or a root canal or whatever it is. You don't look at how this can affect all of this. And I was like, oh shit, thank God I went there, because I'm walking around with this mouthful of inflammation, which is, it's bacteria. It's, you gotta do it all, right? And I'm so grateful. This guy was awesome too, by the way. Like, I mean, he rocked my world with I've never been to a dentist like this in my life. And I'm so glad I found him, because now him and I are like buds. And I'm like, I've been on social media, like, if you want a different dental experience, you got to go see this guy. But that's a big deal, because what if I didn't look under that rock, and I'm doing all this stuff, but I missed that. And then the other thing is the emotional trauma. Like, none of us want to dig in to the deep, hard stuff. And that one's next. So that's next on my list. But it's not always just surface level. Like, again, back to you got to dig, man. You got to dig, and you got to keep digging and get all the answers, get the full picture, because then you have the greatest opportunity to succeed.
Good stuff. Okay. We are now entering to one of our favorite parts of the program. It's the rapid fire questions. There's 5 of them.
Shit.
I'm not sure. Here's the challenge for you. You've beat cancer, but can you give us short answers on some of the more poignant questions here? That they're easy to answer. They're in your head.
I'm very competitive.
If you're ready for question number 1, yes?
Yes.
Okay.
Let's go. If
you could eliminate one health myth that drives your ass crazy right now, what would it be and why?
Oh God, one health myth. My biggest pet peeve is people looking at nutrition labels, going after carbs, fat, and protein, which is important. Yeah. Don't get me wrong. Yeah. But what's killing us are the ingredients.
Yes.
And if you don't go after the ingredients in your food and stop worrying about calories and not stop worrying about it, but that needs to not be such a hyper focus. And look, this is coming from a fitness person where it's, that's what we do. Right. Yeah. But if you really want to immediately start to feel better in your own skin, if you go after the ingredients on the foods, if it's not coming out of the ground, you go after the ingredients, within a week, you will feel better. Like, I have clients where I teach them that one thing, and they come back and they're like, oh, my belly bloat's gone. Oh, I'm sleeping better. Oh, my brain fog. I'm like, yeah, because you're not ingesting a bunch of garbage. So
rapid fire question number 2.
That was a long answer. There's nothing rapid about my answers.
Come on, Barb, you're competitive. You got to get it in a sentence.
All right. I can do better.
I challenge you to that.
To do it shorter.
Right. Okay, ready? Question number 2. What's your ultimate, this is a confessional here. Ready? Your ultimate guilty pleasure, one that might surprise or even shock some of the people that you know best.
That shock the people that know me best. Guilty pleasure. Honestly, it's food. I'm such a foodie. Like, I'm half Italian. Oh. I can put down some gnocchis. I can put down some pasta, baby.
All right.
Yeah, that is my jam. And look, when I had to change my diet and I had to, oh God, that like broke my heart. I was like, shit.
Gnocchi is my favorite. That's some serious carbs right there. That's a carb load right there.
Yes. But it's good.
Yeah. Question number 3. Excuse me. If you had a billboard in the busiest intersection in America for 1 week, what bold or provocative message would you put on it?
You have the power to heal yourself.
Bravo. That was rapid.
Do it.
That was rapid fire. That was the most rapid.
Do it.
Hey, she's 1 out of 3 so far. That's awesome.
And that might be the best one yet. All right, you got 2 more to go.
I'm getting better.
There you go.
Question number 4. What's the most rebellious? This could be a long one. What's the most rebellious thing you've done purely for fun or just to prove someone wrong? Oh my God! Coming from Barb, I can imagine what this is going to sound like.
Wait, one more time.
Yeah. What's the most rebellious thing you've done? Purely something that you've done for fun, just to prove someone wrong. Her personality is probably everything. But go ahead.
Jumping off of things, out of things. I have. Oh yeah. I bet you won't jump off that cliff. I bet you won't jump out of that plane. And I look at him and go, watch me.
Wow.
So
I like that.
Yeah,
that's cool.
I've dove off of a lot of cliffs in my life because I've been challenged to do it. And clearly that's what I do. I like to jump off of cliffs and hope that I land.
Yeah. That's like a metaphor for everything we just talked about.
Exactly.
Oh my God.
No
I love
kidding.
it. All right.
Yeah.
Last and final question, Barb. So far, you're doing really fantastic. We got this one here. In a world obsessed with wellness, with wellness hacks, what's one controversial opinion about health that you strongly stand by?
One controvert that I stand by.
Geez, this whole show.
Yeah.
Right?
I mean,
yeah.
What I'm doing.
Wow. That
is that's what I'm doing is my answer.
Wow.
I stand by what I'm doing, and luckily it has not been the death of me. So I'm doing something right.
Well,
There you
Barb,
go.
you got the perfect personality to move against mainstream medicine and really take this fight to a new level, and are proof of how beneficial it is in so many ways. And by the way, for those who are just listening to this, you need to tap into our YouTube and see how good Barbara looks after what she has gone through. No, really, thank you for wearing your cute little pink tank top, because your biceps and your traps and I'm really impressive.
Well, it's funny, people say to me, they're like, through the last year, they're like, well, you don't even look sick. And I'm like, I go, you're right, because I'm healing. I want to be the new face of cancer. Okay.
Love it.
I want to change the look of cancer.
Good for you.
Love it.
Well,
because it doesn't have to be a devastation of your body. It can be a rebirth. It can be a rebuild. It can be, I'm in better shape. I'm healthier than I've ever been. Wow. And I had cancer. Like, what the fuck?
Yeah. Oh my gosh, this is great. We got. Can you imagine her lecturing with Dr. Lindsay Berkson? They both have the same.
I'd be exhausted.
Barbara Moylan, thank you so much for such an informative, energetic, rebellious program. Thank you. Thank you again.
Thank you guys for having me. This has been so much fun, and I appreciate you allowing me to share my story and spend some time with you guys, because you're great.
Thank you.
Thank you for listening to today's episode of the Crackin Backs Podcast. We hope you enjoyed it. Make sure you follow us on Instagram at Crackin Backs Podcast. Catch new episodes every Monday. See you next time.